Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. Welcome to the Winning at Being You podcast. I'm your host, Coach Rogers. This is a space where we have real conversations with people who are using their voice, their experiences, and their purpose to create impact, not just for themselves, but for others. Today, I am super excited to be joined by Chip Baker. We're going to talk about leadership, transformation, and what it actually looks like to win at being who you are without pretending or performing. If you're watching live, feel free to drop where you're watching from in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Now let's get into it. Chip Baker is a fourth generation educator. He has been a teacher and coach for over 26 years. He is a multiple-time best-selling author with over 30 books, a YouTuber, podcaster, and transformational speaker. Chip Baker is the creator of the YouTube channel / podcast Chip Baker, The Success Chronicles, where he interviews people from all walks of life and shares their stories for positive inspiration and motivation. With a background deeply rooted in service, teamwork, and leadership, he inspires others through sharing the life lessons he has learned along the way of his journey. Chip, my brother, welcome to the Winning at Being You podcast.
Let's go, Mills. Man, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, definitely welcome, man. I feel like it's an honor to have you. And so with that, man, tell us more about who you are. For those people that don't know you, of course, I just gave an intro, but if you had to tell people about yourself, what would you tell them?
Man, I'm just an ordinary guy working real hard to achieve some extraordinary things, Mills. I just, man, I've been blessed and fortunate to be around some great people in my life to learn from, you know, good and bad, right? And I've just strive to use that to make a positive difference in my life. And it brings us to where we are now.
Awesome. And so one thing I want to ask you, I know one of your catchphrases is go get it. And then another thing you love to say is live, learn, and serve. Where did that mentality, that mindset come from?
Really, it's just come from my lived experiences. I believe that everything is a process, right? You look at the lived experiences, we all have to live a life where we're not afraid to live, right? And along that living, if you will, we learn so many things about the world and more so about ourselves. And then, as we're living and learning, I believe that it's important for us to take those things that we've learned, the blessings and the lessons, if you will, and use that to be of service to others, right? You can't just keep it to yourself. And so, along that journey, we all have ups and downs, trials and tribulations. And what we don't realize sometimes is as we learn, there's people watching us and it's inspiring to others. And so that's the live, learn, serve, inspire. And that's really my tagline to my YouTube channel podcast. And every time I say that, it gives me chills because it's life meaning behind it, right? Like, it's not just fluff. It's just things that I've grown through, if you will, in my life. And then the go get it piece is, I believe that no significant success is going to come to us. We got to go get it and make it happen.
Yes, sir. And I love what you said about sometimes we're not even aware of who's really looking at us. And that's actually something I experienced at the gym the other day. I had somebody that he walked up to me and he was like, man, I've been seeing you in the gym, and I kind of peeped this one move that you've been doing. And he's like, I've been doing it myself. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea, this dude looked like he was on another level and stuff. And he was paying attention to me. And I've seen that happen over and over again as an educator and just in life in general, where, things that you're doing, sometimes you think that maybe, for example, like when you're in the classroom, the kids ain't even listening to it, but then
Mhm.
they come back to you many years later, like, hey, Mr. Rogers, you remember when you said such and such?
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, I said that, you know? And so that is, I love that you touched on that. And so, related to that, you're a fourth generation educator. Did
Mhm.
you always know that education and leadership would be your path?
Man, it's crazy. Um, I tell people this, I grew up in a family of church folk with no S. It's down south for meaning like we were in church a lot. Uh, church folk and educators, right? And it was that way because they were about service, right? Understanding that we were gonna serve in church, understanding that as educators, it's your duty to be of service to others. And so I was heavily influenced in a positive way from a young age because I saw the difference that it made. First off, in the lives of my family, right? I saw it drove them to get up every day just to do what they did. And they absolutely loved what they did. It was exhausting, but they absolutely loved it, right? And then in turn, because they poured into others and they loved it, pouring into others, it made a difference in the lives of so many people. And just, so many stories um, I've heard about my family members over the years, and that really influenced me in a positive way. I just wanted to live a life where I made them proud, and hopefully I've done that.
Mm. And so I can relate to the, education kind of being a family thing because my
Mhm.
mom was a teacher. And,
Yeah.
for me, I never saw myself in it growing up, though. And for a long time, I kind of fought it, but then I decided to get into it. And so I definitely can relate to what you're saying. And
Yeah.
so, the cool thing about education is that you work with people, students from all different backgrounds. And so, what do you think coaching and teaching has taught you about people more than anything else?
I think what coaching and teaching has taught me about people is that none of us are perfect,
Mm,
right? Um, and
say
none
that
of us
again.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. We're gonna make mistakes, even while we're striving to do things the right way and be the best versions of ourselves. We're gonna genuinely just make mistakes, and none of us are immune from growing through tough things, right? Just life be life, and so none of us are immune from having some tough challenges, and so we all have to live and learn, right? We all have to have grace. We all have to learn to forgive. We all have to learn to communicate effectively. We all have to learn to be empathetic and empathize because as we're pointing fingers at people, like you're pointing some at yourself too, right? So, and how are we going to learn and grow from that? How are we going to move on? But I think for the most part, um, I've been around some amazing people in the profession, right? Some great people that I can learn from, and I've strived to take a little bit of all of that and use that to help me be who I am today.
As an experienced teacher, because you got 26 years,
Hmm.
what's a word of wisdom, piece of advice that you would give someone that's coming into the profession, that's new to the profession?
Man, that's good. What's a piece of advice that I would give someone that's coming into the profession? And I think I would just say, um, what some people told me: stay one day ahead, right? Show up every day, work hard, give your all to it, because when you do that, what you invest into it is what you're going to get out of it. So, I mean, you
Mhm.
can say, hey, well, it's not this and it's not, well, like, what are you investing into it? Right. So, you get what you give, input equals output, right? Give them a formula here. Uh, but man, just show up every day, have a great attitude, and give everything you have to give. and you'll have a great time for sure.
And that's a word of wisdom that I got when I first got into education is just
Hmm.
stay a day ahead. You know,
Yeah.
as long as you can and so essentially that message is prepare. You
Yep.
know, have
Preparation.
you know, not yeah, you're not gonna walk into a classroom not knowing or having an idea of what you're gonna do. You know, at least, hey, look over the night before or whatever,
Yep. Yep.
and have the copies made or whatever else and be
Yep.
ready. And so yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. The five
And so
P. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
yes, yes
Yeah.
indeed.
Hmm.
And so you have a podcast, and your podcast has been around for a while, man. And
Yes, sir.
you've interviewed some incredible people, and so it's called the Success Chronicles. And so with that, what's one lesson that when you talk to people, it seems like it just comes up regardless of who the guest is? Like, what do they all have in common? What is that one takeaway that they tend to have?
I think the one takeaway that everyone tends to have from me interviewing them is learning the lessons from overcoming hardships. Like you think, well, this person is famous, and they put out this many books. Well, they've had hardships. This person is a big time speaker and travels the world and does all of these things. Well, what motivates them is the hardships they had to get over, right? Like this person is a professional athlete, well, he was raised with a single parent mom and had some hardships, right? And so I think the common thing that I've seen is just, people just learning the lessons from overcoming the hardships. And so, when you have those hardships, those tough times, it causes some to break and others to break barriers, right? And so
Mm,
it doesn't matter who you are. Like I said earlier, none of us are immune from growing through tough things. Catch that. Growing
mm,
through tough things, right?
growing
And
through tough
so,
things.
yeah, and so we just have to, we know that the storms are going to come, you know, have that firm foundation, brace yourself, continue to work, continue to do things the right way, and you'll come out on the other side of it successful.
So you mentioned that you've interviewed some professional athletes. Who can you
Mhm.
name a few of them that you have?
Yeah, yeah. So I've interviewed Mike Evans. I've interviewed he plays for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Interviewed him a while back. It's pretty cool. I've interviewed a couple, former athletes, Olympians, a couple Olympians. So man, it's Carl Lewis. That's crazy.
Wow.
I interviewed him. I have an amazing story how that happened too. It's wild. But man, just former athletes, people doing some really neat things.
Mm. And so how did you come about interviewing guys, I guess, that are at that level?
Well, first off, you just ask is the main thing. Because a lot of times we get in the situation, well, I don't know, like little old me, right? But in those situations I've been in, like um, I could accept having no, right? But I couldn't accept not trying. Right.
Mm.
That's a life lesson. Let me give them that again.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a word.
Yeah, not just in the podcast situation and asking people to interview, but in life, in striving to hit success. Um, like the no's are gonna come, right? And I can accept, each work through the no's so that you can get to the yeses, right? But I can accept the no's, but what I can't accept is the fact of me not trying, right? Like me
Mm.
not putting the effort in, like that's unacceptable. And
I hope
so
y'all are taking notes that are listening.
yeah, yeah. And so I think the first thing is the first answer to your question, how did those things happen? I think the first thing is relationships, right? Having some great relationships where people, can refer you and recommend you and say, hey, this guy, he does a pretty good job on this deal. And I think you should, be on his podcast, or people connecting you with people. So I think that's kind of the first way that some of those things happen. But like with like Carl Lewis deal, I happened to be at a coach's clinic, track clinic. he happened to be speaking there. I just happened to have my stuff with me. And I asked him, right? I was like, hey, got to talking. It was me and him in the room together. And like he approached me and started talking to me. And I was like, man, this is wild. And
Wow.
I just told him about my podcast, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to do that, man. After I speak today, man, we can go outside. We can knock it out today. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa. So man, it was awesome, man. And he did a great job diving in, and it wasn't a rushed thing. Like he really, took time to chop it up with me. And so, and the lesson in that is, bro, like if you don't ask, the opportunities won't come, right? From where I'm from, I've heard, closed mouths don't get fed.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you have to ask.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Just in my line of work, people are like, well, man, how did you get this speaking engagement or
Mhm.
get on this stage? And I honestly tell them, I like a lot of times it's just being that person, just being Johnny on the spot,
Yeah,
making myself available, because oftentimes these people they're looking for somebody, but they don't know who to look for. And so
right.
if I can shoot them an email in a timely
Mhm.
manner, and everything lines up as far as my presentation. And when I say presentation, I'm not talking about my actual presentation, but I'm talking about how I present myself.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it's usually pretty easy. And so yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's
Mhm.
a huge lesson. Oftentimes people overthink this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, if you just ask, what's the worst they're going to say? No. And
Yeah,
then
and
you're just at the
and
same spot.
yeah, and if they say no, that doesn't stop you from your passion and what you believe in.
Exactly. And so after talking to so many successful people, and I mean, guys, those of you that are listening, Chip's podcast has been around for years. So I'm sure
Yeah,
you've
over 10
interviewed
years.
li- literally hundreds, maybe even
Yeah,
thousands. I don't
yeah.
know. Hmm.
Yeah, it's been a couple people for sure.
Yeah. And so with so many successful people, what do you think? And I know this kind of sounds the same as the previous question, but it's a little bit
Mhm.
different. What
Yeah.
do you think separates those people who grow from those who just kind of stay stuck?
I think it's a couple things. I think the first thing is their mindset, right? And then the second thing is their perspective. Um, I think that people that grow uh, have a growth mindset, right? You have to be open and willing to learn and be open for the growth, right? And then the second thing is perspective, and how you view what you do will always affect how you do what you do. Let me give them that again. How you view what you do will always affect how you do what you do. And so, you know, uh, as a young guy, I didn't have these right glasses. As I got a little older, the doctor said, "Hey, man, you might need to try some glasses. Help you out a little bit." And I had a certain view of things before I had the glasses. But when I put the glasses on, oh man, I can read the fine print. I can really see that, like man, trees really do have leaves. Right? Like I can see better. My perspective is better, and that's what it's about. Just a positive perspective, lens, if you will. Finding the good in things and not being stuck on the negative or the bad, because it's all out there, right? It's all out
Hmm.
there, but it's what we
True.
choose to see and what we choose to focus in on determines the success that we're going to have.
Mm, I like that.
Mhm.
And along those lines, man, we're in this, I don't know, yeah, this social media era where a lot of what we see, is just mess. It's drama.
Mm,
And
yeah.
so, what would be your words of wisdom in regards to just being able to stay focused when you open up your phone and go to Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and you just see a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that can just really throw you off your game.
I think really just, tapping into your why, understanding why you like why do you do what you do, right? And I think when you
Mhm.
can really hone in and focus in on that, you'll see yourself take giant leaps to get where you want to be. And what happens is, man, it becomes contagious and infectious when you do that. And you want more of that because you see great things happen. And before you know it, you'll have your blinders on and you won't even be worrying about that. And organically, you eliminate the distractions and organically you put systems in place to help you become better. Organically, great things start to happen for you because you're focused and you're keeping the main thing the main thing.
Mhm. Now, I know myself doing this podcast, a few months I've been doing it, man, I get guests like yourself, and
Mhm.
I learn things, man. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
that's a good point about being a parent that maybe
Mhm.
I can apply, or being a husband, or being a son. And so, for yourself, what have you personally learned from doing the podcast that maybe surprised you or got you to reflect on yourself?
Oh, that's good. That's a good question. I think what I've personally learned along this journey from doing the podcast is the importance of relationships, right? The importance of quality relationships. And there's a quote by one of my former pastors, and I love sharing this quote because when I heard it, it gave me chills, right? And the quote is, "Life moves at the speed of our relationships."
Mm,
Yeah, life moves at the speed of our relationships. And so along this journey, I've met so many great people. Um, I've been blown away from our conversations. And most of the times, like you said, I've done it a long time. Most of the times, like they've done their research on me and they're excited to be on my platform, right? And so I'm people say, "Man, I've been waiting to, I couldn't wait to, I've been excited." Like, man, that's pretty cool, right? Little old boy from a small town in Texas, having a podcast, getting to talk with so many cool people. And from that, what happens, like we talked about earlier, is, you build bonds and you build relationships because you create great experiences. And so from there, um, great things continue to happen because of that.
mm. Real quick, I just want to shout out a couple of people that have commented.
Yeah.
Terry Perry said, "What's up, yo?" I'm not sure if you know him. And then we have Simone Hicks. He's chiming in saying, "We're two good men." Thank you, Simone. And thank you
Yeah.
for watching. Um, and so, yeah, man, kind of along the same lines, we live in a world where it seems like, we talked about that social media,
Mhm.
everybody wants visibility. And
Yeah.
so, what's the difference between influence and impact in your mind? Because your book is titled "The Impact of Influence."
It's good.
So yeah, let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Yeah. The difference between impact and influence. Well, first they're along the same vein, really, but influence is what people see in you, right? Like that's what they see you do every day, your systems, how you treat people, how you operate, how you do your thing, right? That's the influence, right? Now the impact comes when they can apply what they've learned from you, right? The influence that you've had on them daily, that's where the impact comes, right? Because I can talk all day, "Oh, Mills, I'm gonna do this, I've done this," but like, what are the actions that we're taking, right? So those actions are the impact that people can apply.
Mm. And so, what do you think gets people to take action? Because oftentimes they hear us, but
Mhm.
then, and then they'll also be in agreement with us, but then they don't take the action. So what do you feel is like the tipping point?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think going back to tapping into the why, right?
Hmm.
Like it has to mean something to you. Um, it has to be a driving force to make you operate the way you need to operate, right? And so, because I think at the end of the day, if it's really just about us, right? Oh, it's just about me. Oh, well, if it's just that, well, when times get tough, you'll give it up or you'll quit, right? But if you can tap into your why and know that it's bigger than you, right, and understand that it ain't about you, right? It's about what you can do to be the best version of yourself so that you can give the best version of yourself to others. Oh yeah, well that's gonna get you up and get you moving, right? Because you know that you have people depending on you.
Mm. And man, I think that is a super important point that when you know you got people depending on you,
Hmm.
man, that really just changes how you move.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Like you can't,
Hmm.
like you got to keep moving when it's that way. Like
Hmm.
there's no sitting still and like waiting for stuff to come to you. No, you got to go get it when it's that way.
Yeah, because I think about people that don't have children,
Yeah.
or maybe don't they're not in a relationship, don't have a significant other, and yeah, it's like I think sometimes finding that motivation or that desire can
Hmm.
be very fleeting for a person like that. But when, yeah, you
Yeah.
got mouths to feed, or you want to see your children do well, you want to see your partner do well, then yeah, that's a reason to get up at 4 in the morning and make sure that you're chasing your dream and whatever
Yes, sir.
else.
Yes, sir.
So I know you'd say you're a teacher. You've been a coach,
Hmm.
coaching sports and everything. And so, what's one leadership trait that people overlook that you feel matters a lot when it comes to building a culture, whether it's a culture in your classroom, on
Hmm.
campus, or on the playing field?
Yeah. I think one leadership trait um, that people overlook but matters is communication, right? Um, Communication, man, great communication makes a huge difference. And I believe that it stems from care and respect, right? So if you care about it, if you respect the situation, you're going to go overboard to communicate to make sure that everyone involved knows what's going on. And you think about, those great organizations, those great schools, those great teams, they have great communication. Everybody knows the mission, everybody knows the vision, everybody understands the expectations, everybody knows, hey, this is the work that we're going to put in, right? Everybody knows, hey, these are the rewards from the work that we will put in. And then also the gratitude for all is communicated as well. Being grateful for the journey, being grateful for the process. And so I think communication is one that's awesome overlooked. And I'm gonna share this one with you. Let your people. I'm gonna warn them. We probably want to get some take the notes on this one. When you write the word communication down, right? Just if you write the word communication, if you look in the middle of the word, in the middle of communication is you and I,
Oh man, y'all heard that, right?
right? So in the middle of communication, literally in the middle of the word communication is you and I, right? So when you communicate, it's not just you, it's not just I, it's you and I, right? And so we have to make sure that we are not just speaking, but make sure we're listening as well, right? And make sure that we're hearing, speaking at the right times, all of those things. And so I think communication is that skill that is really, overlooked at times, but it really, really matters.
With communication, sometimes it's difficult. And so
Mhm.
what's your insight or approach to those difficult conversations that we sometimes have to have as leaders?
What's my approach to the difficult conversations that we have to have?
Yes.
I'm gonna use a weight analogy with you, right? If you want to get big muscles, you got to get in the weight room and work out, right? Right. If you want difficult things to happen, you have to work on it, right? So in communication, right? And you think any situation, right? Leader, you talked about husband, wife, kid, right? In order for us to get to a place of where we need to be, we have to have those difficult conversations, right? And so and I'm thinking about my mom, right? There was some communications where it wasn't a you and I, it was just, boy, you better, right? And so, but I knew it came from a place of love, right? I knew it came from a place of discipline, right? And it was discipline because there was love, right? Which went into accountability and structure, right? And so, sometimes we get caught up in the what it's wrapped in and really don't hear the message of where it's coming from, right? So I think if you can communicate from the heart, um, it's not difficult conversations because on both sides there's a respect and you understand each other and you understand that, hey, it's for a reason. It's not about me. I want you to be better. This is for you.
Mhm. You've written 30 plus books.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot. While you've taught, while you've been a coach, while you've been a speaker and a podcaster, how important has consistency been in that journey?
And consistency, um, it's been everything to me in my journey, right? I hope that people that know me or people that will say that Chip Baker, he's consistent, right? Like what you're gonna get from him, right? And that's my goal. I work hard at that each moment of each day. And so what happens is consistency builds trust, right? And so it builds trust from others, which is great. People know what they're gonna get from you. People know they can depend on you. But the bigger thing in that is that you prove to yourself that you can do great things because you're consistent, right? You continue to show up, just continue to do what you're supposed to do. You show yourself that you're capable of achieving great things. And that's when it gets good, right? When you prove it to yourself, like, oh man, let's go. Well, let's try this. Okay, what you gonna do now, Chip? Okay, right. Well, let's try this. Right. And then you get on that road, and before you know it, man, you have momentum and like you said, you're like 30 plus books, and you're like, man, that's crazy. Right? Like, wow. And so, man, consistency, it's been everything.
Mm. And so what is Chip Baker about? Like, what is your passion? What makes you get up in the morning? What gets you fired up? Like, what is it that people could say, man, that guy Chip, man, this is what, he hangs his hat on?
Yeah, I just think being of service, right? I think knowing that it's not about me, it's bigger than me, right? And so that drives me every day. I have people depending on me, right? If I don't do what I'm supposed to do, then the people that's depending on me don't get what they need. And so for me, it's bigger than me, man. It's not about me. And so I think that's what drives me each moment of each day, and it helps me get up. And that's what I hang my hat on. Is just doing the right things, taking care of business, being dependable for those people that I love and care for.
You work in the school system, and so obviously you get an opportunity daily to encounter young people,
Mhm.
young men. And so what do you feel that our young men, especially men of color,
Mhm.
what are their biggest needs nowadays, and what do you try to give them?
Man, that's a really good question. I think the youth, their biggest needs, things that concern me right now is, I think now they have so much access to information, right? When you look at, like, when we grew up, it was more simple, right? Research was going to the library and all of those things. Now with a device in your hand, you can go anywhere in the world and see whatever you want to see, like right now, right? You can even talk to a device, they'll talk back to you and have a conversation, right? And so, like now, it's just the so much access to information. I think now, we have to teach them to learn to decipher like what is important, what is not important, those soft skills, prioritizing a balance, operating in excellence, right? And producing quality, right? And so like those are the things that
Mhm.
I see that, that can kind of concern me. And really, I think, but it also excites me because, there's so many possibilities of things that can happen too. And so it's important for those young people to have quality people around them that care enough to guide them the right way.
And I'm going to ask you about something you mentioned. You mentioned about operating in excellence, and I just
Hmm.
love that you said that because I've been reading a book. It's Notes on Being a Man.
Mm.
The author is Scott Galloway, and
Uh-huh.
the book focuses on the challenges that many young men are having nowadays. And one of the things he talks about is excellence, having
Yeah.
a level of excellence. And so, yeah, tell me more about your definition of excellence for our young men. What does that mean?
I just think excellence is really just, striving to do things the right way each moment of each day. So excellence is striving to do things the right way each moment of each day. And what I mean by that is, first off, none of us are perfect. We're going to
Mhm.
make mistakes, right? Like, but the beauty of the journey is learning from the mistakes because failure is part of the process, right? And so in that effort, in that trying, in that striving, if you will, there's so many things that we learn with the reflection time. And that's why reflection time is important, right? Okay, this was good today. I did this. Ooh, I messed that up. Ooh, don't do that again, right? Learning from others, seeing others' mistakes as well. Then the next day, hit the ground running and just continue to strive. And so, um, just I think the effort is what counts and the excellence piece, right? And before you know it, you will have achieved some pretty cool things, and you'll be really proud of what you've achieved too.
So excellence in your efforts. Yeah,
Hmm.
I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so we're getting close to the end, and this has just been so good. And like I mentioned earlier, I said, I learned something every time I, do these conversations, and the same goes for today. Just some of the mantras that you shared with us and everything. It's just fantastic. And so
Thank you,
one
man.
of your mantras that you pretty much put on every post, every video that you do is go get it. And so yeah, tell us what you intend for us when you say that.
Oh man, that's good. So I believe when you say go get it, I believe that no significant success is going to come to us. I believe you have to go get it and make it happen, right? And what I mean by that is doing the little things daily to make a positive impact, right? Like what are our actions that we are intentional about today uh that's going to get us closer to making more of a positive impact. And that's what I mean when I say go get it. And so it's not going to just come to you. You got to go get it and make it happen.
Mm. And so what do you have coming up? And tell us a little bit more about what your current work is, the
Yeah.
work at Lone Star College, and
Yeah.
yeah, some of the things that you may have coming up, possible books,
Yeah.
presentations,
Yeah.
conferences, things
Yeah.
like that.
So man, lots. I'm blessed to have lots going on each semester, and I'm grateful for you to have been a part of this as well. I do a the Impact of Influence speaker series at Lone Star College here in North Houston, Montgomery, Lone Star College, Montgomery, which is North Houston. And so we bring in like speakers to pour into the groups there. We try to do that, 4 to 5 times a semester. That's been a blessing. Man, I teach a leadership development class at my church. I don't even know if you knew that, at the Ark Church here in Conroe. So Sunday mornings, I teach a leadership development class, just continuing to speak to groups, pouring into organizations to help them with leadership development. I have a book series. My first book series that we did was The Impact of Influence. Like you said, we had 10 books in that series. And so I started another series, which is The Path for Coaches, right? Being a former coach, but really it's not just for coaches. It's for anybody that's looking to grow and develop in their leadership, really, right? So it's all coaching. Life is coaching. Life, everything in life is a team, right? And so we all have to get coaching mentorship, if you will. And so the Path for Coaches is just really to help those leaders that's looking to develop. And so the first volume was mentorship. The second one was emotional intelligence. Third one is self-awareness. And we're about to release another one on communication. And so that's coming later. I'm really excited about that because I think communication, man, is so needed in our world today. And I think that will really help us in the world to be better if we can communicate better. Like, just be respectful, just listen, like respect others' views, because there's beauty in our differences, right? And communication helps us with all of that. So those are some of the things that I have coming up, but I always putting out positive inspiration on my social media. It's all at Chip Baker TSC, except for X, Twitter, and that's Chip Baker 19. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube, Chip Baker, The Success Chronicles. And so, like I say all the time, like people say, like, follow, subscribe, like all of those things. I love for you to do that. But for me, the main thing is if you go check it out and you see something that you like, or someone that you think of that you love and care for, I just ask that you would just share with them to make their day better.
Man, I just really admire how you're almost like I guess a leadership junkie, just the books and everything.
I love it.
Communication, like you're a junkie, emotional intelligence, all those areas. And so I just respect the level of passion and commitment. And man, it's just a great thing. It really inspires me just to see that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, man. And what you do is inspiring to me too, man. I love your passion, your heart for people, your enthusiasm to deliver to people and help people, right? To be of service. I think that's kind of the commonality of who we are both, yes, like-minded, but more so like-hearted, right? Just looking to be of service to help others, knowing that it's bigger than us, and just taking what the big man has blessed us with and using it to hopefully bless others. And so, man, again, thank you so much for having me. It's always a treat when the good guys get to meet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you coming on. And so there you have it. Chip Baker, go check him out, man. Good guy, man. He's been doing his podcast for a real long time. I hope to be like him one day, having been in the game for years. Good dude, man. He's out of Houston. I had one of my homeboys, Keithus Thomas, who I talked to on my podcast about 2 weeks ago. He's in Houston also, so it'd be great if you two guys can maybe link up, because Keithus is a good dude and very passionate about the community and everything. And so my brother Chip, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Go get it.
Go get it. There you have it, folks. Change happens one person at a time, 1 second at a time. Keep winning at being you. Let's go.